Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar hosted by Better Business Bureau serving the Northwest. My name is Dana Gorski, and I'm the social media coordinator over here at Better Business Bureau. Today, we have the opportunity to hear from Chris Vale, the Vice President of SEO at digital marketing agency Logical Position. Logical Position has been a BBB accredited business since 2011 and has offices in Portland, Las Vegas, Chicago, and Austin. Chris works out of the Chicago office. Now, if you have questions at any time throughout the presentation, please type them in the question section and we will address them in the Q&A portion of this webinar. Now that all of that is out of the way, thank you all for joining us, and the presentation is now yours, Chris.
Well, again, thank you all for joining us. As Dana mentioned, my name is Chris Vale, and today I'm going to kind of go over the four steps to increasing organic rankings with the goal to kind of give you an overview of what search engine optimization is all about, but also the last two sections in particular. I'm hoping to send you home with some actionable items, so things that any business owner can do to try and improve their presence on the web, and ultimately the end goal, obviously with most businesses anyways, is increased traffic and revenue. So the best thing you could do to try to get that done is going to be kind of a combination of just telling a clear story to the search engines about what you're going after and who you are, and also reinforcing the value of your website through content creation. So we'll talk about some of those things. A little bit about myself, and I'll pull this up here, is I am the Vice President of SEO for Logical Position. We are an internet marketing agency, as Dana mentioned, in multiple states, and really our focus is AdWords and search engine optimization, as well as website development. I have an MBA in organizational leadership, and I became an SEO specialist out of necessity. So what that means is I was actually running e-commerce stores 7 or 8 years ago, and the big problem I had was getting traffic to my website. I relied primarily on Amazon and eBay to make sales, and obviously you guys know they take a big cut of every sale if you're selling through those programs. But what I wanted to do is try to get direct traffic to my website, which is easier said than done, and that's how I got interested in internet marketing. And what I found was I really liked the opportunity to convince the search engines that my site was the one they should show when any given keyword I was trying to target was searched online, rather than shipping out of my basement. So that's really what drove me into internet marketing, and it's been a great 6 or 7 years since then. So digital marketing for 6 years, again out of that e-commerce background. I've got a wife, 2 kids, a dog, and 5 chickens, and I am a wannabe farmer. So we've got a little farmette out in the Chicago suburbs, far from the city, with ATV trails and chicken coop, and I've got a goat pen. So I've got some goats coming in the spring here, which I'm pretty excited about. So I like the technology side, and I also like the at-home farming kind of side. So that's a little bit about me. So we'll jump right into kind of the 4 steps here that I put together, and there's a lot of different directions we can go with this. Search engine optimization, I think, is a kind of like the mystery in the internet marketing world. What are we doing? How are we taking care of improving rankings and getting traffic to our client sites, and what do those SEO guys do? And really, it's kind of simple when it comes down to it. So the first step is going to be keyword research. So how are people actually searching for your products and services is the question there. And you might think that a big broad keyword is the way to go, but when we look at conversions on your site and look at your analytics, we see that actually your conversion rates are a lot higher the more specific you get. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but long tail keywords is kind of what I'm talking about there. And so also the big questions that people have are, are more people searching with this way or that way? So I've got a pop quiz for you. Which keyword has more monthly searches? So we've got three options here, and everybody, in your own head, try to pick 1, 2, or 3. How do you think people are searching more often? This is by volume monthly. So we've got plumber Chicago, plumbers in Chicago, or Chicago plumber. So what would your guess be as far as which of these keywords has more popular? And I'll give you the answer right here. Plumber Chicago. So 1,600 people a month are searching plumber Chicago, and you can see plumbers in Chicago, that volume is 320, and Chicago plumbers 1,300. So part of keyword research is kind of determining where is the volume, and then we can also look at competition. I've got another pop quiz for you here. Which keyword has more monthly searches? Swimsuits, bathing suits, or bikini? And the answer there is bikini by a long shot. So swimsuits, 450,000 searches, bathing suits, 246,000 searches, and bikini is 1.5 million searches. Oops, jumped ahead there. So one of the things that we like to use a lot in search engine optimization is the Google Keyword Planner. This is a free tool inside AdWords. So if you have an AdWords account, you can go to Tools up on the top menu bar and drop down to your Keyword Planner, and this is what you're going to find. If you don't have an AdWords account, you can create an AdWords account with any Gmail, and you'll be able to access this Keyword Planner tool. And it's a free service by Google, and it basically gives us a ton of insight into how people are actually searching, what keywords they're actually typing into Google, which is really valuable for SEO strategy. So in this example, I searched plumber Los Angeles up on top, and then Google down below gave me some other results. And in fact, if I scrolled down, if this was a live website here, I would see that there are actually hundreds of other suggestions related to the keyword I typed into Google Keyword Planner. This is really helpful for planning out the content on your website. And so we use it all the time with our consulting and also our campaigns as we're determining, how we're going to go after a long-term marketing strategy such as SEO for each individual client. So you can see that the competition level is kind of recommended here by Google, and this is really related to AdWords, specifically the cost per click for these different terms. And you can see plumbers in Los Angeles, has a $30 cost per click, is very competitive, lower search volume than plumber Los Angeles, similar cost per click. Los Angeles plumber has 390 searches a month and has a suggested bid by Google of $50 per click. And so all this information is really helpful, not only if you're running an AdWords account, but also to SEO as you're determining how you're going to write content for your site. So we might go at it two different ways. We might say, well, plumbers Los Angeles has the highest search volume, so we're going to target our content on this page to go after this keyword. Or we might say, based on the competition and how much more volume there is, everybody's targeting this on their page. We might have a better opportunity to go after a variation that has less traffic but might be more obtainable for rankings. So all of that goes into keyword research, and the keyword planner is a huge part of being able to make those decisions. So we use that all the time, and then what we do next is, excuse me, we lay it out based off those target keywords. So if you want your website to rank for dogs, it's important that the word dog shows up in the content of your site. And we do a lot of reviews all day for prospects and people that are interested in SEO. And a lot of times we find out what they tell us their most important keywords are isn't even in the content of their site. And so that's really the first step, and we're going to go into that a little bit more in the next section as well. So basically, we're able to kind of take these different URLs on any given site, and this is kind of what we do in our consulting work, and you can do this with your own website really easily. Just lay out all of the different pages on your site, and then alongside those pages, do your keyword research and figure out what you want to target on these different pages. So what we can do then is start to develop content on the page to match the keyword targets for those pages. And so this is kind of the very initial starting point for search engine optimization, is laying out a plan like this. So understanding a keyword difficulty is also important. Like I mentioned before, you might determine that it's better to go after a keyword with less volume because there's less competition on the page, or vice versa, just depending on what you find as you do your research and then look at results in the Google search engine results. But a small e-commerce site will not be able to compete against 10 major brands for a keyword. And this is where long-tail keywords come into play and can often level the playing field for smaller businesses. So in our next examples, as we're looking at on-site optimization, I'm going to talk about Dick's Sporting Goods, and specifically their keyword target is golf balls. And if you're a small local sports shop that sells golf balls on your website, the chances of you competing with Dick's Sporting Goods or Amazon or Sports Authority for the term golf balls as a broad keyword is going to be very small. And so what we typically do is look for those opportunities, which we call long tail keywords. And an example of that might be, for instance, Nike, golf balls, and a specific model number, where you can actually have a level playing field for trying to rank for something that specific or long tail. So that's the terminology there, if you hadn't heard it before, rather than going for the big broad keyword of golf balls. And the really cool thing about going after long tail keywords on your website is, even though the volume is much higher in the broad keywords like golf ball, for instance, 70% of searches are made up by long tail keywords. So again, I know exactly what type of golf ball, what brand, what model number. I type that into Google as I'm looking for the result there. I have better chance of ranking as a small business there than I do for the big broad term of golf balls. And those long tail keywords will often convert at a higher rate. So you're getting more and more specific to exactly what your business does, what your business offers, rather than the big broad keywords. So everybody tells us, as we ask them, what are you trying to rank for? What are your top keywords? And we hear all those big broad keywords that we know are going to be really difficult for a small business or a medium business to rank for. And what we do is kind of guide them in the direction that's going to bring them an opportunity to actually show up in the search results, get traffic, and hopefully revenue off of that traffic as well. So we are able to with long tail keywords take advantage of being able to rank for the same types of keywords that those bigger companies get to go for on volume, but we get to get more specific and improve conversion rates with long tail keywords. So hopefully that helps with some ideas about how to do keyword research for your website. Again, we'll do a Q&A at the end of this, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. There's obviously some more to it than that, but that's a nice broad overview of keyword research. So step 2 is on-site optimization. And the key question that we ask here is, does every page of your site tell a clear story to the search engines? In general, you can really only target one keyword plus variations on that keyword on each page of your website. The reason for that is you're really limited when it comes to your page titles. And so we're going to look through titles and descriptions and what all that stuff means. You might have heard those, and you may or may not have been familiar with them before, but I'll show you how that all works and basically how a search engine reads every page of your site. So with that being said, as we look at websites that are trying to target multiple services, for instance, we want to make sure that each of those services that they're trying to target is built out as its own dedicated page on that client's website. And the reason for that is, again, you can really only target one keyword or close variations of it on each page of your site. So if you offer multiple services, the question there, does every page of your site tell a clear story to the search engines? And an example of this would be how Google sees your web page. So the interesting thing is, we look at a beautiful website like Logical Positions here. We've got all of our awards and all these buttons and drop downs and contact forms. But the way that Google sees this site is a lot different than the way that a user sees it. And what Google sees is all HTML text. And that text is how they make decisions on how important or how valuable this page is, along with other indicators that we won't talk about today so much, about links and things like that. But basically, this button that says we're a Google Premier Partner, for instance, doesn't mean anything to the search engines unless we tell them what that button is in HTML text alongside the image of the button. So the way that search engines see your site is not the same way users see it. And so SEO a lot of times is about just, again, telling a clear story to the search engines about what everything is on your site and what you're going after. So keyword usage and targeting is going to be really important. The goal is to use keywords naturally throughout the page. And part of all of this on-site optimization is kind of spelled out here, and we're going to actually look at specific details, again, on the Dick's Sporting Goods site that I was talking about. But title tags, titles near the top of the page on the actual front of the page would be an H1 tag. In the body of the text, in the alt attributes of images, in the URLs, in the meta description. So what we want to do is just, again, as part of telling a clear story, just reinforce this to the search engines that this page is really trying to attract users who are looking for X, Y, Z. And so keyword usage and targeting. And then here's a little expansion upon that with title tags, meta descriptions, and meta tags. So title tags are a very important part of SEO. Best practice includes 70 characters or less. Placing important keywords near the front include branding, natural readability. Again, I'm going to show you guys an example of this in just a moment. Meta descriptions, short description of the page's content, and we want to stay under 160 characters. And actually, if you search for something in Google, the results that you're seeing on this search engine result page, also known as the SERP, is the page's title in bold, and then the meta description underneath that. So generally, you want to use your meta description as advertising copy. A good description can increase click-through rates, which is great. So an exclamation point like "shop today" or "call us today" or "contact me" or "contact us" in the meta description can actually help with click-through rates. Just like AdWords copy, the more provocative it is, or the clearer the call to action, the more likely someone's going to actually click on it. Meta tags control the search engine crawler activity for a page, so things like no indexing or following or not following links are all in there. So that's metadata. And so now I'm going to show you guys just visually here what a well-optimized page looks like. So I always turn to Dick's Sporting Goods. I'll show you why in a second here with the rankings that they have. But what they do is they, on every one of their pages, and they have hundreds of thousands of SKUs and probably around 1,000 categories or so, they have really done a great job of clarifying to the search engines about what each page of their site is all about. So we're on their golf balls category here. And now underneath their golf balls category, they have maybe 100 different categories that are kind of filtered here, but also have their own pages for brands and for type of golf ball and all those types of filters that they offer on the left-hand side. But this is their H1 tag on the front of the page that says golf balls. Go to the next one here. At the bottom below the products, and by the way, they do this on every one of their categories and subcategories. They have a whole section here which is full of unique content about golf balls, how to choose the best golf ball, advice on which type of golf ball you should use depending on what kind of player you are, the condition of the golf course. And all this information is actually not even visible to the user who pops on here until they scroll down past the products. But that information is being indexed by Google, and Google is saying, wow, these guys are giving all this great user-friendly content about golf balls on this golf ball page, and that improves the relevance and the value of the page as far as search engines are concerned, which is really cool. I mean, this is Dick's Sporting Goods is a great place to look for just an awesome example of how to optimize a page. So just the back end of their page. So if you right click on any website and you view the page source, you're able to see the code for that website page. And so that's what I did here. This is the page source on the back end of Dick's Sporting Goods golf ball page. They have very clear URLs. So Dick's Sporting Goods /products/golf balls. Pretty obvious. Title is golf balls for sale. Dick's Sporting Goods, so you've got your brand there. And then the meta description is, again, like a call to action. Shop golf balls from Dick's Sporting Goods. Buy top-rated golf balls from Bridgestone, Callaway, Titleist, and more top brands to shoot further and straighter. So a really clear description that's going to grab someone's attention. They mentioned that they offer multiple brands. And so all of these things are what's on the back end of the website, not visible when you're looking at the page itself, but telling the clear story to the search engines and what they're looking for to understand what is this page trying to rank for. And you can relate this to every website. So you can literally go, look at all of your competitors' websites, look at your website page by page, and say, is my site telling a clear story to the search engines? And this is a great tool to look at the page source. So again, you just right click on the page and view the page source, and you can see what's there, and the titles and descriptions are usually towards the top of the code. So now go to Google and type golf balls. In this example, we've got some ads for golf balls here. This is again going to be AdWords. On the right-hand side, we have Google Shopping right here, again through the AdWords platform. And then the first organic result below the ads is Dick's Sporting Goods. And the crazy thing about Dick's Sporting Goods is that's pretty much the case with every single category and subcategory that they have across their entire site. In fact, This website that we use to kind of take a look at historical information related to organic rankings and keywords is SEMrush. If you've never heard of SEMrush, it's a really cool way to kind of see where a site's been ranking over the years. Google or SEMrush is showing Dick's Sporting Goods ranking for over 381,000 first page keywords. So just to give a point of reference, I'm probably on a dozen or more sites a day looking at SEMrush, and the average site might be ranking for 30 or 40 first page keywords. So Dick's Sporting Goods, 381,000 first page rankings because they've just optimized the heck out of every page on their site. And it's paid off. I'm assuming they have a full staff of in-house people writing all day long with the amount of content on there. But this is the value of building content on your site that tells a clear story to the search engines. And like I put down here, they didn't do that overnight. So that is a long-term marketing strategy, and SEO in general is a long-term marketing strategy. But if you take the right steps over time, you can see that this graph showing how many keywords they rank for on the first page has shown really, really steady growth over the years. So that's on-site optimization. Step 3 here is develop a content strategy. So the key question here is, are you the authority in the industry, in your industry? Are you providing value to the users and your potential clients or even existing clients through your website? And doing those types of things are going to be what separates you from every other website offering the same service you do. And a lot of people ask me that, hey, I know I'm the best, let's just say plumber. That's my default example. I'm the best plumber in Portland. I know it. I offer the best service. I offer the best pricing, but I never show up in the search results. Well, Google doesn't have anything to go off of except your website to make that determination. And there's other indicators around the web that are going to be really important, but does your website clearly tell who you are? Well, sure it does, but now there's 50 other websites that are exactly the same as yours that do plumbing in Portland. How are you going to differentiate yourself? And really, it's becoming an authority in your industry, and that is going to be all content related. So we're going to talk about that now. So the advantages of a content strategy is it helps you stay on track. So how many websites have you been to where if you look at their blog, I don't know if you guys ever look at blogs. I look at blogs all day because it's my job, but how many websites have you been to where the last blog that was posted was 2 or 3 years ago? And what does that say to the search engines? It says that you're not actively engaging in your audience. And I know that people are probably thinking, well, what is a blog going to do with my site? No one's going to read the blog. And that may be the case with some industries. But in general, blogging is a really cool way to reach out to your users and your audience, and it tells the search engines that you care about your users. So make sure that every page on your site has a purpose. Connect with your audience with the content strategy. Cover your keyword targets, and we'll talk about that in a second here. Convince customers and search engines that you're not just in it for yourself. So you might be thinking, well, a blog is one thing. We do one blog a month. What else can we do? Here's just some examples of different types of content that you can create. And this, again, is all part of putting together a strategy. And some of these things you might do once every year, once every 2 years, and some of these things you might be able to do once a week. So, blogging, long and short form, we'll talk about what the difference is there. But, if you can do a 500-word blog twice a month, and you can do a long form blog once a month, like 1,000+ words. You kind of put this all together into a strategy that allows you to, stay on task. Resource pages, news, images, videos, audio, webinar, email campaigns. Obviously, books is going to be the one where you might be able to put out a book once every year or 2, but not something you can do every week. So different types of content, kind of all thrown into a content strategy, can be a really huge advantage to just staying on task and adding new content to your website. So don't keyword stuff. Best practices for content creation. Search engines are really smart these days. And I was talking with Dana just earlier about this, but Google Rank Brain has kind of been rolled into Google's core algorithm. It's basically an AI determining who gets to rank and where they get to rank when people search. And so they're really looking for natural content, relevant to the industry, answering questions, engaging audience with answers to questions that they're asking. and looking at what people are typing in. The system is looking at what people are typing in real time and making decisions and changing rankings based off of that. So you want to make sure your content is natural and really there to benefit the user. And that's going to make your site seem more appealing to the search engines. They're determining who gets to rank where. Changing up your topics and target keywords. If you're targeting one keyword on all the content that you're writing, you can really come across as kind of spammy. And so what you want to do is just like take that list of keywords that you developed from that first section of this webinar and create a bunch of different topics to write about. So be unique. Every single piece of content should be unique. You never want to duplicate anything. Search engines ignore duplicate content. And the last step here is going to be to get your content shared. So this really helps with getting helping the rest of the web look to you as an authority. Really helps with rankings. So if you put out a blog and nobody ever sees it, it's like the question of a tree falling in the forest with nobody there to hear it. There's probably not going to be much value from an SEO standpoint, but if you can get your content shared, you're actually telling the search engines that you're an authority, that you should be showing up in the results above your competitors because your content is authoritative and it's actually getting talked about around the web. So some things to do to get the word out: use social buttons on your pages for easy shares. Ask for shares. If you've got an audience and you've got a client base or a following on social media, ask for shares for your content. Post your latest blog or case study or anything that you're putting up on your website out around the web and try to get other people to talk about it and view it, which again comes back to the point of making really, really good content. Just putting content out just to add more fluff to your website is not going to help, but find out what people are asking about in your industry and answer those questions, and you'll be able to get some traction that way. Find your audience and share where they are. In SEO, we've had a lot of success over the years, and there's a lot of articles out around the web talking about Reddit. I mean, you can get an audience in Reddit really easily. You have to be real careful because sometimes there's a lot of trolls, if anyone knows what that is, out on Reddit, but you kind of are asking for comments, both positive and negative, when you post things on Reddit. But Reddit can be a great way to get shares and get talked about and get traffic and links back to your site. Quora and other sites, and Ask in other sites. So find places where people are asking questions about your industry. Write a great piece of content on your website that answers those questions. Go back to that site and answer the question with a link back to your piece of content. It could be a great way to get shares. And then build relationships. People always ask me, what can I do to help improve the value of my website? And how can I get other sites to talk about my site or link back to me, which is the kind of the key component after the on-site work is in place. Getting links back to your site is the next step for search engines to differentiate you from all your competitors offering the same service. So with the building relationships part of things, you have the opportunity to leverage some organizations that you're a part of, some memberships that you're a part of, some clients that maybe some clients that you've worked with for a long time that could refer you or write reviews. The other cool thing is if you have any referral partners or businesses that you do a bunch of business back and forth with, ask for a link on their site back to yours, or ask them to share some content that you've written on your site. Those types of things can really help leveraging your own relationships. So some things, some interesting stats on content creation, kind of call this food for thought. But a study of 100,000 blog posts, this is pretty recent, I think end of 2015, found that 75% of those 100,000 blog posts had 0 shares and 0 links. And so the question out of that is, just like we've been talking about, is your content worth sharing? If you studied your audience and found out, what they're looking for, your audience, your demographics, what are the questions they're asking online? Can you answer those, and is it worth sharing? Content with lists, images, or videos get linked to and shared much more often than just a plain piece of text, kind of like this page right here. And then length of content matters. 3,000 plus word articles get double the shares of 1,000 word articles, which is really interesting. And we're seeing that in search engine results. When people search how-to questions or answer questions into Google, the results of a lot of the top of the first page rankings are really, really long form articles answering questions in detail. So if you can put some really valuable answers to users' questions on your website, you can be a lot more successful with ranking as well. And then people share personal content, but link to useful content. And so just something to keep in mind as you're creating content, you want both. You want shares for some content, you want links from other content, but that's just a nice rule of thumb there. So going viral, we have a client that was on a TV show in April 2016. I'm looking at organic traffic here, month over month. I think they're averaging about 2,000 visits a month, maybe 3,000 visits a month to their website organically. And they got on this TV show, and immediately, 1,000% increase in organic traffic, hundreds of natural links and external links from all the blogs and all these websites talking about the TV show link back to this client, which is crazy. Doesn't happen very often in the real world, but happened for this client. And this is just an example of analytics traffic to this client's website from going viral. So, they've got even 8 months after that TV show aired, they are still riding the coattails of that experience with 123% increase in organic visits month over month, or year over year, sorry. And so that's obviously an extreme example, but as you're doing this content strategy for your own website, as you start to optimize, what we're looking for is just like we saw in Dick's Sporting Goods, a slow and steady, consistent growth in traffic, and hopefully that equates to revenue as well for your website. And this is kind of the content marketing pyramid I wanted to throw in there at the end. How do we determine how often and how much of these different types of content we can create for our website? And so we look for the lowest effort to do more often, the higher effort going to be done more rarely, but can often provide the highest amount of value. So things like social media posts, blogging, infographics, and they get harder and harder as you go. Long form blog posts and presentations, and then finally books and ebooks and white papers. So that's just some food for thought as well, as far as how you start to develop the timeline for your content marketing strategy. So I want to thank you all for your time today. I hope you found some valuable insights in here. We can take a few minutes for Q&A. And I've got a couple questions here. If you have any questions that you'd like me to answer, please feel free to reach out and in this chat box in the webinar, and I'll be happy to answer those.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. That was a lot of great information. So as he mentioned, at the bottom of your webinar toolbox is where the Q&A box is located. And at the same time, we would also really like to know if you guys found the information in this webinar to be helpful. So I'm going to launch a poll right now. And if you guys could take a quick second to fill that out, appreciate that. And we'll start reading the Q&As. I see we have 2 so far. Keep them coming. So the first one was, what is that organic reach website? And Chris, I believe this question came in right before your step 3 slide.
Gotcha. I think the organic research website she was referring to is actually SEM Rush. SEM as in search engine marketing, Rush, R-U-S-H. So semrush.com is a really cool place to check out organic traffic and rankings over time.
Great. And then we had someone ask if they can get a copy of the slides at the end, and we are going to be posting this on our YouTube page and our webinar webpage, so you'll be able to see those there as well. All right, and then another question was if you would
Someone
be
wants to see that again.
Yeah, the pyramid.
There you go. Put that up for you there. We can leave that on the screen.
Perfect. All right. We'll pause a little for you guys to ask a few more questions. So someone just asked what the webinar webpage is, and that's on BBB's Northwest's website. So in the follow-up email that you guys get after this webinar, I will make sure to include that for you, the link to our webpage. And then we have another question, which is, does location name factor into keywords? For example, having all the areas you service named on your website.
Yes. So, you know, the biggest thing here is you're going to want to make sure you don't duplicate content. So if you have multiple locations that you're servicing, let's just say, go back to the plumber example, for instance, that you service 15 different suburbs around Portland. It's a good idea to have unique landing page, or sorry, have dedicated pages for each of those geo-targeted areas. But the key thing there is that you write unique content for each of them. So you don't want to have the 3 or 4 paragraphs about how you do plumbing in Lake Oswego, you know, transferred over to Tigard with just changing out the word Tigard in Lake Oswego. What you want to do is have completely unique 3 or 4 paragraphs for every geo-targeted page. But we've seen over and over again that adding all your service areas by city or however people are searching as dedicated pages can make a big impact on ranking locally.
All right, thank you, Chris. The next question is, how do we rank better for small towns in our area?
Oh, there you go. That was the answer, the last one. So start to build out a service areas tab on your page and list a bunch of the cities that you want to start servicing more, and write 4 or 5 unique paragraphs about your service and that city in particular on those pages and link to them there. And that will help you be able to rank better in individual cities and locations.
All right. The next question is, do you know of other free resources to learn more about SEO and running your own Google AdWords, Yahoo, Bing search campaigns?
So for SEO, I have, let me see, Moz Guide to SEO. I'm going to pull up a website for you guys right here. And this is a really great free resource. Let's pull this over and I'll blow this up. And my screen is still being shared, right?
Yes.
So Moz's Beginner's Guide to SEO is a 10-chapter kind of like an ebook, which does a great job of explaining the basic principles of SEO. So I would just encourage you guys to search for Moz Guide to SEO, and you'll be able to find this in Google really easily. But Moz Guide to SEO is a great, you know, probably take a couple hours to go through all of it, but a great intro to SEO and what it's all about.
All right. Thank you. The next question is, does having links to other websites increase your ranking?
So that's a good question. And yes, there's been actually lots of recent studies showing that external links can help with rankings. They're not nearly as valuable for how well you're going to rank as someone else pointing to you. But as an example, you know, if you're writing content about something that some other site might have as like a citation, for example, let's say Wikipedia or a news article that you're writing a blog about, and you link to those articles, it provides those external links on your site where you're pointing out, provide, or outbound links, I guess I could call them, provide clues to the search engines, again, that you're not just in it for yourself, that you're talking about relevant content to your industry. So I'd encourage you, if you're doing a blog and you're looking for statistics or information, always cite that stuff by pointing out, because those external links are actually valuable.
Great. Then the next question, and we'll probably just do about 2 more with our time, and then I'm writing down all of the other questions and we'll follow up with you in an email. But the next question is, can you recommend any other sites for SEM tracking?
Sure. We've actually been moving more and more towards a site called Ahrefs recently. So they're a really great site, and I think up and coming compared to SEMrush and to Moz. Ahrefs does a great job, and you have to have a membership, but they do a great job of showing you all the keywords that you rank for. They show a ton more links coming into your site than most other sites do. Ahrefs is probably the best tool out there right now for for links and tracking links, who's pointing to you and who's sharing your content, all that, and really good for competitor research. So I would recommend you guys check out Ahrefs.
Great. And then, so for the last question, we have in the keywords and meta tags, is it important to do this, for example, on a short red skirt? And do you see the examples they gave, Chris? It's red skirt, short skirts. Basically, what example would be best?
Okay, hold on. Is it in the questions here, Dana? Sorry.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, there it is. Okay, in the keywords and meta tags, is it important to do this, for example, on a red shirt? Okay, so I think what they're asking here is using variations on these keywords. So red skirt is the main keyword, but also looking for adding variations. So we call that LSI, or latent semantic indexing. So you look at a keyword and you look at all these other different ways to say that same keyword that aren't the same. And I would say, it's important to use variations or LSI keywords as you're writing content. So all kinds of variations and other ways that people might target that one keyword should be kind of sprinkled throughout the content on your website. So, and it also, on that page of your site, it also helps you to not do overkill or spam your target keyword to add variations as well in your content. If that's the answer, I hope that was what you were asking.
Perfect. And, I saw at the end too, but this would be good, a question someone asked that would be great for you to share is, how can people reach out to you or Logical Position for more information?
Sure. So if you go to logicalposition.com, you'll find contact forms there. If you want to reach out to me directly, my email address is chris, C-H-R-I-S, .vale, V-A-L-E, @logicalposition.com. So, but our website has contact forms and calls to action all over. Hopefully, because we're an internet marketing firm, we could easily be contacted. But chris.vale @logicalposition.com. Feel free to shoot me an email. We can schedule something.
Wonderful. Thank you. So thank you again, everyone, for participating in today's webinar. And thanks, Chris. I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and feel free to contact BBB with any further questions at 206-431-2227. All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.